let's shift to our final division, and that is the AFC West.
Such a bad division.
Here we go. Here we go. AFC West. Let's break it down for you. Let's get spicy in the lab tonight. Let's break down, first of all, the division as it sits with FanDuel Sportsbook. AFC West winner. Should be no surprise. Chiefs are favorites.
What?
Minus 230. You're not making any money to pick them to win.
What? It's wild that they're only minus 230 because they've won it for about. Honestly, how many years? I
think it was like 7.
It's like no,
6,
I think
7.
it's more. I think it's more than 7. I think it's.
No,
8
I
or 9.
did see a stat the other day where it's like they had the second longest division win streak at like 7.
It's since the Broncos won the Super Bowl, which was like 2015. I think they've won it every year since.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Great. The Chiefs have dominated the division, and they're going to continue to.
You can get them at minus 230. What a bargain! What a bargain!
I mean, it's going to be a guarantee, right? So, I mean, I guess if you just throw in, just put your house on it. Why not put your house on it?
I would advise all of you in the chat to
empty your bank account,
unless Mahomes somehow gets hurt.
What's wrong with you, Ref? Who hurt you?
I mean, if you put like $80,000 to win $34,000,
that's $34,000 you didn't have.
It's true. It's almost a sure thing.
No, it is a sure thing.
Chiefs are not are favorites for the league, not just.
I
the
would
division.
argue with Carson Wentz, we could still win the division. So,
that might actually be true. The division does suck a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. People are high on.
Broncos got new unis.
Yeah, we got
people aren't. Yeah. Local people in Denver are high. No, not people, Chris.
So what team are you starting with?
Let me finish the numbers here.
Save our 2, obviously.
Let me finish the numbers here. So Kansas City minus 230, Los Angeles Chargers, America's darling, every offseason.
No, that's a choice.
At plus 350, so 3.5 to 1 on your money. Then it drops off drastically. Raiders plus 900 and Broncos plus 2,000.
20 to 1 on your Broncos.
20 to 1.
Are you gonna take it? Are you
no
like
shot.
On it?
No shot.
You're not betting that.
No.
Hater.
But what about your savior Bo Nix? He's not
we'll get to Bo Nix.
I can't believe you're not betting. It's just sprinkle on 20 to 1. Sprinkle like $50.
Put $1 down.
Let's just say, I honestly think the Broncos have a chance to maybe finish third. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe.
Did you just say that I think the Broncos maybe have a chance to finish third in a 4-team division?
Yeah. It's all right. We're climbing out.
I think
we're climbing
I'm
out
higher
of a
on the
hole.
Broncos than you are.
You might be, but I'm still. I mean, you actually haven't really been talking shit on the Broncos as much as I would have expected you. I think you might be nervous. Okay, all right. So that's what. Let's go get over under win totals here. So over under win totals for each team. The Denver Broncos over 5.5. Over under at 5.5. The over is
small number.
Is a very small number. The over is the underdog at minus 102. Or no, yeah, the
over is the favorite.
No. It's the underdog at minus 102.
If it's minus 102, it's the underdog.
And then the under is minus 120. Honestly, I think I like the over.
Get that number actually.
I like the over.
I love the over there.
I was looking at this and I'm just like, I don't understand why it's so low. Because there are some bad teams, and Denver Broncos are going to be they're going to be a rough team, but
a bad team.
5.5.
I have a lot of concerns. I think the offense might be better than the defense in Denver this year, which is foreign territory.
Agreed.
The defense is going to be bad.
Defense will take a step back.
I think outside of Pat Surtain, like it's like trash left and right.
There's some players that need to prove themselves, definitely on the defensive side of the football.
Cool. Yeah, we'll explain it like that.
Yeah, we'll get to them here in a little bit. Kansas City over under set at 11.5. It's almost even both sides. So the over is minus 112, minus 108 on the under. So kind of it's almost dead even on one way or the other, whether or not you want to go on that over under total. But
I lean over, but that's bias.
Then you get the Las Vegas Raiders. 6.5 is the over under for the Las Vegas Raiders. The over is an overwhelming minus 138 as the favorite to get at least 7 wins. The under is plus 112. And then finally, the Chargers. It's 8.5 wins is the over under for the Chargers, which again,
I like the under.
People love the Chargers every offseason, pick them to win the division, and yet their over under total is a whole 3 games under the Kansas City Chiefs, and the over is minus 144 at over 8.5. Plus 118 is the under for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just people betting on Jim Harbaugh or what that is, but Jim Harbaugh and Herbert, Justin Herbert, like, what else are you betting on with that team? We'll get into that, but
all right.
Yeah, Fireball.
What's up, Fireball? Hope you had a great stream. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your night on a Sunday. We are breaking down our final division of the night, the AFC West. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Hope you had a great stream. Should we just start? Let's just start. Any other thoughts just on the division or the over-under totals before we dive into our first team?
No, I mean, I'll mostly get into it when we dive into the teams, but yeah, there's a favorite here, I think.
There's a favorite.
Honestly, you could probably replace the Chiefs with the Browns, and nobody else in the division would still win.
Wow. That's how low he feels about the other teams in this division.
Just wait till he has to watch his quarterback play here in week 1 and 2 and 3, and he'll be like, man.
I've seen Mitch Trubisky play.
You're kind of giddy about this, Chris. You're excited for him to have to witness.
I'm excited. If I had to deal with it,
you're gonna feel the same way maybe as I did when I watched Russell play on your team, and I was like, this is kind of. It's
kind of now. I know what you feel like,
and now you're doing it.
I can actually just have
Mitch
that.
and Canada together. It can't get worse.
No, but I think. Privately, Steeler fans and you too, Rec, are like secretly thinking Russ can be good.
Don't fall into that.
He cannot. He absolutely cannot.
It's a trap. Steelers Twitter has been panicking.
It's a trap.
All right, let's get into this.
Let's get into this division. Let's talk. Let's dive into the Raiders first here. We'll do Raiders.
Sure.
Now I built this graphic a little bit because I was thinking, they had
nailed it.
They had a quarterback battle going on with Aiden O'Connell, who young kid, obviously trying to make a name for himself. But breaking news today, Gardner Minshew came out with the dub. And
won the starting quarterback job.
Won the job. So he is your starting quarterback for your Raiders.
The fans in Vegas are going crazy. They're so excited.
This Raiders team finished 8-9 last season. So again, last year they had Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell as rookie. And now they have Gardner Minshew leading the charge. Also, head coaching change has been put into place. Josh McDaniels,
sort of.
It happened last year.
It happened last year. I understand that. But Antonio Pierce did end up getting the actual job once it was all said and done. So Josh McDaniel got fired, Antonio Pierce was put in, and they ended up sticking with him. So he will be your coach going into the season for the Las Vegas Raiders. And as far as everything else goes, they had the 13th overall pick, selected Brock Bowers. With that, because the Raiders love to pick.
When you're not good, make sure you draft a tight end high. And I actually like Brock Bowers a lot. So
Yeah,
I don't think the Raiders should have made that pick. But
it's questionable.
Josh
Jacobs leaves town. Alexander Madison, who we were extremely low on, anyway,
might have been the worst runner of the football. Like Chris and I might have been just as good as Madison last year.
So Madison takes over, and he is coming into Las Vegas here, along with Zamir White. So those are
Alex Madison,
Alexander Madison.
There goes the running game. He's trash.
And Zamir
Were you
White.
listening when we said that?
Yeah.
yeah. I heard. It just took a second to see if y'all actually said that name. This was an addition.
Yeah, no, that's an addition. I don't know what kind of an addition. It's when you add a negative number to a positive number, or I don't know, something like that. Math. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, all in the mix for the wide receiver roles. Brock Bowers obviously comes in after they drafted Michael Mayer. Was it? Did we ever figure out Meyer or Mayer?
I think it's Mayer, unfortunately.
Michael Mayer.
I do believe it's Mayer.
So they're just stockpiling, top tight end picks. No big deal.
Anytime you can select 2 tight ends in consecutive years in the top 2 rounds, you got to do it.
I feel bad for Bowers. That Raiders team will be hot trash. On the defensive side, still have stud Max Crosby leading the way on the defense, which he's a monster. Let's just be real. He's very, very good. But I think overall, I don't know. I don't really feel like this team is anything special. Again, after going 8-9, and their win total currently right now is 6.5. Obviously, they're taking a step back when it comes to what Vegas thinks they are going to be. It wouldn't shock me if they finish last in this division and Denver finishes at least third in this division. I'm just saying, I feel like the Las Vegas Raiders, we kind of questioned Antonio Pierce too, on whether or not, he's a rah-rah guy, and whether or not he's going to actually be a legit good head coach going into his first full year as the head coach. So I'm curious what that's going to look like. So I don't know. Scotty, what do you think?
No, you kind of hit some of the nails on the head that I was going to talk about. I'll start with Pierce. Yeah, you're right. I feel like it was a little bit of fool's gold with Pierce last year. He got transitioned to head coach mid-year, and he's a very rah-rah guy, and that plays well for a bit. But what if they start 0-2? I think that narrative changes very quickly. I don't think he's an X and O's guy. I don't think he's a guy that's gonna scheme up a game plan. That's not who he was. He was a linebacker in the league. More of just he's a leader of men. I think he's a good leader of men, but that can only go so far at times. So I think you start losing games. He's a loud person. You start getting frustrated and annoyed by your coach, and things start to turn a different direction. I think the Raiders are in that position where, I don't think the Raiders ultimately wanted to hire Antonio Pierce, but he did too well with the time he had, and now they were kind of forced in that position.
Because of all the money they're paying to Gruden and McDaniels.
Yeah, obviously they're cash poor right now. But with that, I think Antonio Pierce is going to be another mistake. A lot of props for what he did last year. He did sensational things mid-season. I don't believe in him long-term at all. I don't think he's a long-term solution, and I think it's going to be a eventual dumpster fire. I think Max Crosby is by far the best player on this roster. I don't think it's close. I would argue Max Crosby might be the best edge rusher in the game. And
he's good, man.
I if I was starting a team that had to win tomorrow, I'm not sure I wouldn't take Max Crosby. No disrespect to Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, all those other guys. I really, really like the mentality that Max Crosby brings. He's a dog. He's insane, I think. But he's very, very good. So they have that piece. You have Devontae Adams, obviously very good. You draft a tight end in the second round last year, Mayer, and then a tight end in the first round, Brock Bowers, this year. So you're trying to develop some of that. Your offensive line played pretty well last year, actually. Defensively,
their secondary was kind of rough.
It's not great on the back end. Yeah.
It's Max Crosby and nobody else.
Yeah. The defense is not something you strive to just be like, this is the defense we want to build. No, I mean, at cornerback,
I don't even recognize those names in there.
Marcus Epps, Trayvon Morig, who's mid. It's like it's either mid or below mid at almost every spot on defensively. In the back, in the secondary. They did add Christian Wilkins, really good defensive tackle from Miami in free agency. So that defensive line with Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby is going to be a monster. But the back end is not where it needs to be yet. And Gardner Minshew can only do so much. I think Gardner Minshew was the right choice probably, but like, how do you get excited when you like, oh, big announcement. Our starting quarterback this year is
Gardner Minshew,
who's been a backup most of his career. Like, it's hard to get excited about that. So,
yeah, it's really tough to like look at this team. And again, they have like little pockets of like superstar, like Max Crosby and Devontae Adams, but like that's it. And I'm just like, oh man, like I don't know. It's going to be tough for me to see this team be super successful, especially with the running game not being able to get going with that little group of running backs. I mean,
they lost Josh Jacobs, of course, who I'm not super high on, but
he had a good year
with nothing.
Yeah,
they didn't replace it with anybody.
So if you can't run the ball, and I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a tough to figure out for the Raiders. But Rec, anything else you want to add for Las Vegas?
I mean, you're talking about all the mid, like this is probably the most top heavy team in the league. You have again 2 elite, potentially generational players, and literally nothing behind that. Just gotta hope Minshew has the same magic he had last year with the Colts if they want any chance of going anywhere. Then Antonio Pierce, to me, he seems like a very boom or bust coach. But like he could either be an amazing coach or he could be fired at the end of the season.
Yeah. It's I mean that's it right there.
Fun of the NFL,
right? So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Los Angeles Chargers. Let's shift gears to the Chargers. Last year, the Chargers finished 5-12, super disappointing. Ended up moving on from Brandon Staley, hiring
after losing a game by about $1 million to the Raiders.
The Raiders. How many points? What was the final score? It was ridiculous.
It was 63-21.
63-20.
Now it's really funny. The week before, the Raiders scored 0 in a 3-0 loss.
So it's been
from 0 to 63.
It's been crazy.
Las Vegas Raiders story.
You know what's weird is if they don't lose to the Raiders there, like I mean, I know they weren't high on Brandon Staley, but part of me is like, if they don't lose to the Raiders that bad, maybe they stick with him till the end of the season, and then maybe they have to like figure out what they're gonna do. But then they would have ended up probably getting rid of him. But like the fact that I had a vibe that they were like, well, I guess we got to get rid of him now. Like they didn't want to.
It got to the point where like Chargers fans were rooting for the Raiders to put up more points.
Yeah, and so they needed him on that wall. They wanted him on that wall, and they got it eventually. But that being said, they won 5 games last year, and they are projected, at least based off of Vegas odds, to win at least 9 games. Over 8.5 is the favorite. So this team is substantially better, Scotty, because they got a new head coach. But then I look at the roster. Keenan Allen is gone. Mike Williams is gone. Gerald Everett gone. Austin Eckler, not that he played a ton, gone.
Murray gone.
Kev Murray gone. Like everybody's gone, and everyone's like, Eric Kendricks gone, Justin Hollins gone. So they didn't really do a lot of bringing in new guys. They had a rookie first round pick overall, Joe Alt, left tackle. They ended up going out and getting, they got Bud Dupree on the edge. They got a couple other additions, but you're looking at this team and you're just trying to figure out, like, all right, outside of the coaching change, how much better did this team actually get? So you still got Justin Herbert, you got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They just pretty much pulled over Baltimore Ravens running backs. Just be like, let's go with that. Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey, which we like. Ladd McConkey, love Ladd McConkey coming out.
Yep.
DJ Chark, DJ Chark, Will Dissly, is the tight end. But I'm just looking at it. I'm like, one good thing, Justin Herbert has never really had consistent wide receivers. Maybe he has that this year.
No.
What?
No.
How do his wide receivers stay healthy?
Not last year, but like a couple of those years, they certainly did. This is the worst wide receiving core he's had by a mile.
But I'm just saying, at least they might stay healthy as opposed to not being on the like.
Healthy shit is still shit, Chris.
Either way, though, can you imagine?
No. What you just said was egregious.
No. Just let me look. This isn't a good wide receiver core, but I will say though, if he has,
Keenan Allen's been healthy his whole time when Herbert's been playing.
But look, Chris,
Keenan
Allen
Allen
is going to be a starting receiver.
No, he's not. He's not going to be a starting receiver. I would be.
Quentin Johnson. How would he not be? Who else do they
over
have?
Palmer, McConkey, and Chark? He's going to earn that job, and he can't catch.
Yes,
he can't catch.
All right, but he'll be a starter day one.
If then that's a testament to how bad they are. Then, if they decide to go Quentin Johnson over any of these three, I feel like there's going to be an issue.
Lad needs time. DJ Shark is just a.
He's deaf. He's
a dude, like a whatever at this point.
He's a very consistent wide receiver 4. You don't want that starting either. And then same with Josh Palmer. Honestly, they have a bunch of 4s and 5s.
Palmer's never lived up to billing either. Yeah,
they're not as talented as what they've had before. But the guys they had before didn't play. They had
what are you talking? Keenan Allen played.
He played. Well, was he injured? Some of those. Did he play a full season last year?
Yes.
Did he?
No, maybe not. But you know who didn't? Justin Herbert. So who cares?
It's true. Justin Herbert was hurt. So
you're screwed. The wide receiver core here might be the worst in football.
I can't believe that you're trying to say there might be an upgrade at wide receiver.
I'm not. No, I did not say the word upgrade whatsoever. I just said that they might have a chance to be healthy.
No, it might be the worst
consistent.
in football.
Now, did I say that they were going to be good? No, I said they were going to be healthy and they were going to be consistent.
They might be the worst in football. Who's their wide receiver 1? No,
probably McConkey, the rookie.
Which I like Ladd. I love Ladd before the draft, but like a rookie coming in as wide receiver 1, that's like that dude's more of like a timing route runner type. He's not like a game breaker.
And you're telling me he's going to lose to Quentin Johnson? Nah.
Quentin Johnson will start on this team.
Then I feel so good about my team all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I feel really good.
Just hit the under 8.5. Just look, Chris, get your phone out. Go to whatever betting site you use. Take the under.
We haven't got to your
now.
shitty Broncos wide receiver core yet.
Well, the way you're talking, it's not as bad as this one.
I don't know. It's kind of borderline close.
You just, I mean,
I take Cortland over everyone here.
Fair. After that, though, Tim Patrick hasn't played in like 8 years.
Caught a touchdown today.
Don't get me wrong.
We're talking.
No, we're talking Chargers.
Course sucks, but they at least have a 1. They at least have a 1. The Chargers don't have a 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, so we're talking about a team then that is projected to win on the over of 8.5 by a lot.
Take the under now.
And so
don't think about it. Bet your house on it.
And people are out there in the world picking this team because of their coaching change to win the division, which is why I get confused and why we have this conversation every single year.
I would take the over on the Chargers.
Why we talk about this team every single year, that they're just overhyped. Every single offseason, they're overhyped, Los Angeles Chargers. And this isn't going to be any different. As we get closer, you're going to be people picking them to win and go far into the playoffs. And Justin Herbert is a guy that, still has a lot to prove in the NFL. When do we pull the plug on Justin Herbert on whether or not he is? When do we say, you know what, maybe he's not that guy?
He got a massive contract. He's starting for at least the next 2 years, most likely next 3.
Justin Herbert is
he's good. He's still a top
10.
Oh, definitely top 10. It's higher than that though. It's probably closer to like 7, like top 7 QB. Why are we pulling the plug on a young, athletic, talented top 7 QB in the league?
Because
at any point,
he can't win games when it matters.
Really? That's what you're going with?
Is he going to be a Dak Prescott?
No. I guess like Dak, he also had shit in coaching his entire career. So
no, he's not a Dak. He's fine. He has one big adjustment. If I could coach, and I don't even want to coach him because I would make him way better than he is, and I don't want that because the Chiefs be good. It's so obvious what his issue is with Justin Herbert because the talent is immense and it's great and it's perfect. The awareness in the pocket is too robotic. He's too much a robot in the pocket. If he freed his mind and like created a little more, even if you have that count, you don't bail out to your running back time and time again to Austin Eckler for like a 2-yard gain. It's kind of worthless. It's a waste.
Is that coaching or is he hardwired like that?
At this point, I don't know. It was coaching initially that wired him that way, but like, can he fix it? I don't know. But someone should tell him because it's so obvious. That's not what we want. We don't want you to just like. I'd rather you get sacked from time to time and lose 8 yards than just bail out when you could have a big play for a 2-yard flat pass to your running back. It's a waste.
So if he doesn't fix that, if that never is something that he can like get past,
even if he does fix it,
and I should be making tons of money. Who's he throwing to? Lad. Lad.
Yeah,
And then defensively, I mean, Derwin James, he's always hurt. Khalil Mack, he's getting up there in age.
Bosa and Mack are names. Yeah, the defense is not going to be good. Defense is not going to be good for the Chiefs.
How's their defense ever been good? Let's be real.
Yeah, they signed names and they're like everyone's excited. I mean, Asante Samuel Jr.'s pretty solid in the secondary. Outside of that, it's kind of dumb. I like can't rely on Derwin James at this point. He's healthy. He's not healthy, but even if he's healthy, he's not the same player he was maybe coming out of the draft. I think they picked up like Christian Fulton from Tennessee, but like that dude's at best mid. Never really worked out after being a high draft pick from Tennessee or not Tennessee, LSU.
You never get
LSU.
excited when I got a corner from the Titans.
Yeah, that's not gonna work out great.
Okay.
They did add J.K. Dobbins. Like, if J.K. Dobbins can be healthy, it might be an upgrade over what the shell of Austin Eckler was last year.
Big
but
if.
yeah, the offensive line's a big question. Like, you're relying on Rashawn Slater, who has never proven to be healthy either, but a really good left tackle if he can be healthy, but doesn't ever stay healthy. I think this is a lot of Jim Harbaugh hype, but they clearly have the second best quarterback in this division. So like, there's something to be said for that.
Medic in the chat, Herbert is the new Matt Stafford. Like when Stafford was a Lion. Like great quarterback being taken down by the team he plays for. Time and time again.
Hey, shout out, breaking news. By the way, guys, I got married today. Thought I should mention that.
Nice.
Hey! Medic, the fact that you got married today and you're hanging out with us tonight.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Is that real, Medic?
You got married today?
Like,
and I mean this with all sincerity, and I appreciate you and congratulations, but also, why are you here?
The fact, like,
I mean, love it.
I love it too, man.
Also,
he said it's real.
Well, congratulations.
Let's go. Let's go. Congratulations,
People
Medic. That's amazing.
Here.
He's sleeping. She has to get up early for work in the morning. Hey,
Wait, you're working? You two are working right after your wedding? Like, go on a honeymoon.
Well, Rec, you would not go on a honeymoon either. That costs money, Rec. It's not free to go on a honeymoon. It's not like we're going on a honeymoon. Pay for us.
Hey, let's get some dubs spanned in the chat. W's in the chat for Medic Gibby. Let's go.
And for hopping on stream the day you got married.
Yeah, W's in the chat. There you go. For Medic, congratulations.
In the wintertime, it's freezing here.
Cancun. Hey, that's not a bad plan. That's not a bad plan.
Checks out.
That checks out.
Makes a lot of sense. Like we travel a lot, but in the summer in Colorado, it's kind of nice. So like we don't leave Colorado necessarily in the summer because it's nice here.
We leave in the winter. It's hard to leave. It's hard to leave in the winter when everything's snowed over.
No, it's very easy.
Now you just got to get your wife in the Action Lab. She can join the party now too. You know, we'll just keep
half price. Nice.
Nice. Get that half price. Congrats, Medic.
Congrats.
Enjoy the bliss that is marriage.
Hey. Well, remember what we talked about earlier, Scotty, with marriage and how all the little side effects?
Yeah.
You know? Hey. We'll help you through it, Medic. We'll do it.
It's going to be great. It's going to be the best.
It's the best thing obviously, marriage, kids, like it's all.
The best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He's living the life now. Now you're just unemployed, just doing sports stream, retired. Oh, yeah, my bad.
Not unemployed.
Retired.
Selective retirement.
See?
Stay at home dad.
It's all good. Subway deliveries in the mountains in the winter. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So Los Angeles Chargers, maybe not as good as everyone thinks they're going to be. Over under set at 8.5. Maybe the under plus 118 might be some value that you might want to maybe consider. Considering this team might not be maybe as good as that. Again, this team didn't.
They won't.
I mean, they were. What did I say that last year? 5-12. So. Take with that what you will, but maybe I'm down. So far, these two teams.
We're betting the under on every team. I actually think the over with the Chargers.
Chargers on the over 8.5. Okay.
Yeah.
You think they win after all the shit we talked about? You think they still win 9 or more?
Yeah, I think their QB plays good enough and better head coach. They'll win then.
I mean, the thing too.
They're only. I mean, the year before they won what 10, 11 games and made the playoffs. So
Jim
it's not that
Harbaugh too
far-fetched.
has he's won kind of everywhere he's gone, right? Like he's kind of everywhere he goes, he has some level of success. 49ers, Michigan, like he's bounced around and had so I think he can turn things around a little bit. Is it 9 wins? Maybe. I mean, perfectly average. What's up, Marty? How we doing, Marty? If Herbert is gone for a long, they will
If he's
push
got for long, yeah,
for last in the division. Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
they need Herbert. They have to have Herbert if they want to do anything. So, yeah, he needs to be healthy. He needs to stay upright all season long, and maybe they
Can't go to Easton Stick again. I don't even know if that's the backup again.
I don't
or
think
if
it.
there's someone else.
It is. It's between him, Max Duggan,
Oof.
closest boy, and then some other scrub.
Yeah.
Same thing. So it's Easton Stick.
Which by the way, Easton Stick went 0-4 last year. So he's not the answer.
He lost in the final week to a full backup squad of the Chiefs. So
Marty, thank you for being here. First time chat. Who's your team and where are you from? Like to get to know you. Guys, hit that follow button. We are covering NFL better than anyone else all season long. So hit that follow button. You know when we go live every Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, breaking down games. You know all the good stuff. All right. Let's get to your Chiefs, because I think the Chiefs, we kind of have an idea of what they're going to be. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Over-under set at 11.5. The over is just slightly favored to win at -112. -108 is the under. This team is, we kind of know already the MO with this team. Won 11 games last year, 11-6, on their way to a Super Bowl. And they've made some changes, right? They got Xavier Worthy, which you've been high on in this early preseason. First round, 28th overall, wide receiver. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is out the door. So, Xavier Worthy is going to cut into that as well. Marquise Brown comes in. And then, you have little pieces here and there. I mean, it doesn't really matter grand scheme of things. You don't change quarterback and you don't change head coach, which are the two biggest things that you need to win. And this defense also, you're bringing back one of the best defensive players in the NFL on that side of the football. Chris Jones, obviously a monster. He's going to be back. And then, I think there's been some nice little moves. Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire still, weirdly enough, the running game is whatever in Kansas City. You can throw anybody back there. It doesn't really matter. But it's the passing game where Patrick Mahomes just does everything. Rashee Rice, Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy. I still have Sky Moore, who you want to shoot into the sun. Kadarius Toney, still kind of hanging around in the lurking in the background. Travis Kelce, maybe not as big of a year productive wise as some fantasy owners would have liked, but still one of the best, if not the best, tight end in football, Hall of Famer. So you got that going for you. And there's just been some little things. I mean, you still bring back George Karlaftis, who he's been a monster. He's been really, really good for this team as well. Trent McDuffie on the back end has been incredible. So a lot of nice pieces, and they didn't really, have to, they didn't really downgrade a ton in a lot of areas. But I think Willie Gay is not there anymore, right? Willie Gay
is not there, but that's not the biggest
L'Jarius
downgrade.
Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed was the biggest downgrade. Obviously played phenomenal at corner for them. Knew they weren't going to pay him what he wanted, so they traded him for a 3rd-round pick. He's in Tennessee now. I think that's the biggest. That and left tackle are big question marks. Who replaces L'Jarius Sneed? I think in the secondary will be all right. I think eventually, but Trent McDuffie's a top. I mean, he was an All-Pro last year at the cornerback spot in the slot. He's a top. Borderline top 5 corner in the league, so we still have a weapon there, and he's only in his, I believe, 3rd year. So as a 1st-round pick, we got him under cost control for a couple more years. We lose Willie Gay, but the linebacker core is fine because Leo Chenal can step right in there. So I'm not concerned on the linebacker outside. I'm not concerned on defensively outside of losing L'Jarius Sneed, and I would like the edges to be a little more aggressive. You talked about Karlaftis, like his game a lot. You get Chris Jones in the middle, obviously the best interior rusher in all of football. And yeah, you can present a problem. I'd like another like really good edge that they don't have. Offensively, we're leaps and bounds better weapon wise on the outside. I mean, adding Holly Brown got hurt, but he might miss some time early on, but we're talking a couple weeks at the most. You add Xavier Worthy, I mean, Rashee Rice gets to his second year, and while eventually he's probably going to get suspended, it doesn't sound like it's going to be this year. So Rashee Rice will be there throughout, and I think he'll lead the Chiefs in yards receiving this year. Left tackle's probably the one big question mark on the offense. They drafted Kingsley Suamata, whatever his name is, from BYU.
Matitia?
Suamatea, I believe it is, in the second round, who's been starting thus far. They had a fill-in last year in Wanya Morris that they drafted that filled in for a couple games last year at left tackle after being drafted when their left tackle Donovan Smith last year was hurt, and he did okay. That's probably by far the biggest like question mark on offense, left tackle. And there's a guy just hanging out there that's been elite in the past. He hasn't been healthy in a while, but like Bakhtiari would be a pretty solid addition if they wanted to do that, just to shore up that left tackle spot. Because otherwise, the offensive line is phenomenal. It's really, I mean, right tackle obviously had some issues last year with Jawan Taylor, and everyone just hopping on board him
false starting
and being off the line and whatever, and he was like a scapegoat for everything and anything and everything. It's ironic because like he did the same thing in Jacksonville and no one cared, and all of a sudden he went to a good team and everyone was like, I can't believe he gets away with this, which is fine. I get that. But the Chiefs on paper are better than they were last year.
Agreed.
They're better.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't really lose a ton, and you added some pieces that I think were
first ever three-peat. Outside of L'Jarius Sneed, I'm kind of like nothing else we lost was of significance at all.
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at the over/under total, even though it's high at 11.5. And like you were 11-6 last year, you have a better team this year. I'm like, this is a 12-win team. This seems like a 12-win team. Like I would be kind of surprised if they didn't get to 12 wins. So I feel like they're in that mix. They have the best quarterback in the world right now. So it's like, by the way, you did add Carson Wentz.
You could have take out right now.
Yeah, Carson Wentz coming in just in case.
Backup QB is now Carson
Wentz, just earning a paycheck. One of the best jobs, pretty much the best job you can imagine.
He was laughing on the sideline when Mahomes. By the way, if you guys didn't see it, hopefully you did. You exist.
The way I saw it.
Mahomes threw a behind the back pass yesterday. The first quarterback in the history of the NFL in any sort of fashion to do that in a game, whether it's preseason or not. And it wasn't a design play. You found out after, Chris. I don't know if you heard that, but like Mahomes was interviewed and he was actually mad because Kelsey ran the wrong route. And then it's funny, they interviewed Kelsey later on. He's like, sometimes it's hard to understand what Mahomes is saying. He's just like talking in his Kermit voice. He didn't say Kermit voice, but he talked like Kermit. I can't do that, so I won't do it. But they both give each other shit. But Mahomes is basically like, I was mad at Travis because he ran the wrong route, and I was almost better. So it was just like impromptu, and he kind of just threw it behind the back and picked up a first down.
Not impressive. I can do that in my sleep.
You could not. Absolutely not.
I've thrown behind my back all the time. Done that a lot.
Cool. In an
Not
NFL
impressed.
game,
Behind
in an
the
NFL
back.
game, you would already be dead.
Sure,
Uh,
I'm just saying, playing behind your back, not a big deal. Not impressed at
Then
all.
why is he the first to ever do it? If it's so
Because
easy,
because typically that's not what you want from your quarterback. You want him to throw normally with forearm.
I
You want
mean,
him to throw forward in front of his body.
what if I say Mahomes is better behind the back than your starting quarterback is with the normal
I mean-
motion?
Well, Mahomes can only check down behind the back, so can't really go.
Your guy only checks down.
I said that last couple years, Rec, where I was like, he's throwing these like sidearm no look passes, and I'm like, yeah, I hope he keeps throwing those. But the problem is you're hoping that at some point he like messes one up and he's not going to do it anymore. He doesn't really mess them up, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't really hope for that anymore because I'm just like, he's probably going to complete it, and I'm going to just be like sitting here like, what the fuck, man? Like, why can't we stop a dude that's not looking or closing his eyes and throwing it random spots? Like, whatever, man.
He's the greatest player to ever play in the NFL.
It's
I'm sorry.
It's crazy. It's
I'm
crazy, but they're the team to
it's
beat
true.
once again.
It's true.
I don't think there's really much else to say about you boys. I mean, that's why we
I would
covered
say
them.
one last thing. Sky probably won't like it, but one thing I noticed last year, it's kind of an obvious one, but the Chiefs' offense relied way too much on Travis Kelce, as in when Kelce was not performing, the Chiefs fell off a cliff. When he was performing, there wasn't much stopping them. So pretty much, if you could shut down Travis Kelce, you should have a solid chance of beating the Chiefs. Granted, it's easier said than done.
It's a
It's not like
very
that's
different
easy.
weapon roster with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. So I think what you saw last year is a very limited roster where they had to play everything conservative and underneath. And I think what has been happening in camp with the Chiefs is there's been a lot more over the top balls with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. And even if you don't throw it over the top, I think it'll open up a lot more for Kelce and Rashee Rice and potentially Pacheco underneath to have a lot more openings where they can make even more grabs. So I don't think the offense is going to resemble last year's offense very much at all because they're way better, especially when Holly Brown's healthy at the wide receiver spot than they were last year.
I mean, deep threat wise, this was something that we were kind of talking about last season going in. Like, obviously they were good without Tyreek Hill, but you would want a deep threat for Patrick Mahomes, ideally. Well, they solved a couple of those problems with some guys. They figured that out. So now you have a little bit more of a dynamic offense that you can kind of utilize and just threaten going downfield.
Yeah, even if you're not going downfield, you have to play defensively different with the fear of being beat over the top.
Could I argue that
changes everything?
The running game might take a step forward this year, knowing that they have to worry about some deep threats, like where maybe like they haven't had them and the running game struggled, and it's like maybe there's a chance that they're a little bit better with their guys at the Isaiah Pacheco's of the world.
I always struggle running the ball too much when you have the best quarterback in the league on your team. But I love Pacheco. I love the running game. He should get 1,000 yards this year for the first time ever. I think he was just under that at 900 something last year rushing. He should get to 1,000. The running game should be prolific. You basically have the same offensive line outside of the left tackle who wasn't that good last year. So in Donovan Smith. So like they should be solid there. I think you can't play as close in the box because you have better weapons on the outside. So yeah, the running game should profit just like the underneath stuff, maybe to Kelce and Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is going to end up as a top 20 fantasy wide receiver in the league this year, but he's going closer to like 30 something right now.
Little value. This team is fine to watch between robbing banks and dancing on TikTok.
And dancing with the Lombardi Trophy. They will be the first to ever do it this year. First to ever three-peat. It's on the table, guys. Never been done before. No one's ever three-peated. Chiefs about to do it.
And no one will ever will. Will ever do.
Good luck with that.
I feel like teams probably you're going to get the best of every team, regardless of their skill level, knowing that they want to do what they can to stop that.
You don't think that's been the case for a while?
I mean, last year they didn't get the best of everyone in the postseason, especially the AFC Championship game.
I would say
why, when they play well, is it like they didn't get the best of their team?
I mean, the AFC Championship game, they gave the Ravens chance after chance after chance after chance
exactly.
after chance.
They didn't play
and they failed to take it.
I think if they weren't up big at half, I think that second half would have been played out differently. They're not the one thing the Chiefs are not good at is once they get a lead, shutting the door and just being like blowing them out and like cutting their throat and being like, you're never coming back. The Chiefs, when they get a lead, get too conservative and too much of this and that, and they allow teams to stay in it. And that's frustrating. And that's what happened in the AFC Championship game. They were clearly the better team in that game. It's
agreed.
Not close.
Yeah, agreed.
But they let them hang around because once they had the lead, they're like, well, we still have the lead. And everyone's like, oh, they're ended as like a 3-point game. Let's keep in mind the Chiefs were also in field goal range / could have scored a touchdown on the last drive, but they played way too tight in the second half offensively. They were way too conservative, but there was never a point in that game where Baltimore had the ball with a chance to win or tie the game.
Yeah.
So maybe playing conservative was fine because there was never a time in the AFC Championship game in the second half where Baltimore had the ball with a chance to tie or win the game. Never happened.
It's just like the only reason I criticize that is that's why I see a lot of the Steelers just kind of sit back, watch your opponent stumble over themselves, then make a big play when you need to.
Sure. It's hard. Yeah. I get it. It's frustrating for me. I think they should.
Yeah.
I would love for them to just keep being aggressive and like dominating and put it out of reach early and often. Because as a fan, I don't need to have that stress, but it's worked out pretty well. I mean, he's won.
Yeah.
He's played 6 years in the league and won 3 Super Bowls and been to a 4th. So it's going okay.
It's going all right. Just let's get to the last team though. Last team in this division.
We have another team?
We have
last place team?
We have one more team here that now I'm convinced they're going to finish second.
after all the
conversations and everything else and all the hype.
You have them above the Chiefs and the Chargers? I can't believe it.
Is that how we're doing here? I mean, I guess that's the thing. The Denver Broncos, my Denver Broncos, which obviously are not going to be as competitive as maybe some of the other teams in the NFL. They have some, they're rebuilding and they're building things back up to a point where they can be competitive again. And they're doing that on the shoulders of a guy named Bo Nix. By the way, this team, we talked about the over under win total is 5.5, which is really low. So, I feel like based off of what I've been seeing in the preseason of maybe some nice little flashes, I know it's preseason. I get it. And it's not real in the grand scheme of things. But there's a difference when you take a look at the excitement after what we went through. Rec, you're going to go through this soon. What we went through was devastating and absolutely one of the worst things. Like we have the Rockies here, Scotty. We have some things going on here that aren't ideal when it comes to our sports culture in Colorado. And Denver has been a nightmare when it comes to the NFL and the Denver Broncos based off of recent moves by the front office and what we've done to this team with Russell Wilson and what he wasn't for us, what he should have been. So now it's like the breath of fresh air knowing that we've seen a guy, Bo Nix, number 1 draft pick for the Denver Broncos this year, coming in and looking. Here's the thing: 23 for 30, 205 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, one of them nullified by a penalty, 121.5 passer rating. I get all that. It's preseason. No, those are empty numbers. I get it. But it's more fun to watch than what we've had in 2 seasons. This is way more fun, and he looks comfortable, and he's making passes downfield, and that's something we haven't seen here very often, where you have a quarterback that feels like the eyeball test. There's an eyeball test to this that is just completely different, where we are not used to seeing. And that's what's exciting about this Denver team. Now, we take a look at their roster. Let's break it down a little bit on, kind of what that looks like, because the Denver Broncos, they're challenged in some areas. They still have Javonte Williams, who has been having a good preseason. He's coming off the injuries, right? He hasn't been super healthy over the last year and a half. Cortland Sutton is the number 1. We also have Mims, Josh Reynolds from Detroit, and then you got Troy Franklin, Tim Patrick, Lil Jordan Humphreys. I mean,
You keep talking. I'm gonna code yellow real quick.
Code yellow it. So there's some depth there. Whether or not it's good depth is a different story. But you still have some players. Marvin Mims running out. I think they've been working him in and out of the slot. Josh Reynolds has been doing some different things in the preseason as well. So spam code yellow, by the way. And in the preseason last year and the year before, you just can tell that Russ, you could just tell that Russ was just holding onto the ball way too long. And it just, there was tons of sacks in the preseason. It looked clunky. And the night and day difference between the scrambling, the movement, behind the line of scrimmage, stepping into the pocket, making passes, there's just something more exciting about what Bo Nix is bringing here. And I'm really excited about what that could potentially be. Now, there's still some challenges. We kind of mentioned it and alluded to it. This defense is going to be highly questionable. This might be the first time, as Scott mentioned earlier, that our offense will be better than our defense, because typically it's the other way around. And I think that there's some guys that really need to step up, especially on this defense. Browning, Nick Bonito, some of these guys, Alex Singleton, all these guys that have needed to start getting a little bit better, need to get that learning curve moving a little bit quicker, because we need this defense to be a little bit better against some of the, you got Justin Herbert in the division, you got Patrick Mahomes in the division, plus all the other quarterbacks in the AFC. So a lot of teams that you have to defend against. So the defense isn't exactly going to be, as good as we're used to seeing in Denver. But at the same time, when you're stripping it down and you find potentially your guy, the Broncos last year went 8-9 with Russ. Jared Stidham actually came in at the end of the season, went 1-1. So this team, it's just, we're on the way up. We're on the way up, and it seems like we're in such a better place than we were last year. Jerry Jeudy obviously left. He is no longer here. He is in Cleveland. We talked a little bit about that already. Josh Reynolds replaces him. Zach Wilson, or who, I don't know who's going to be backup, but we already know who the starter is, and that's Bo Nix. And then Josie Jewell is out the door. Cody Barton, that's a downgrade for the defense. So there's just going to be some holes on the back end outside of our corner, who Patrick Surtain II is going to be kind of the heavy lifter on the back end of that defense. But there's a lot to be desired on that side of the football. But it's not to say that it's not going to be exciting watching this team offensively for a change, as opposed to defensive dominance. Dominance, they gave up 70. I get that. But they have been a pretty stout defense over the last couple, 2 or 3, 4 years.
Yeah, I think the offense is the exciting side to watch. The unknown, at least. The unknown is always fun. You take a first round pick on a quarterback, you wanna watch that guy. You wanna see what he's got, whether he's got it or not. Bo Nix, to his credit, has looked the part through 2 weeks of preseason. I think there's gonna be some hurdles and obstacles that he's gonna have to get through when defenses actually like game plan and stuff. But I've always thought, as an Oregon fan, like Bo Nix is very smart. He's very accurate. Um, so like getting the ball out, getting it on time, putting it in weapons' hands. Now, who are the weapons in Denver? There's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a great offense. Cortland Sutton, the number one, had like 700 yards last year. He had like 10 touchdowns, but he had like 59 grabs and 10 touchdowns. That's not repeatable. The touchdowns in general are not repeatable. This team last year overachieved record-wise based off of how they played at 8 and 9. Now I think they upgraded at quarterback. I think Bo Nix is a better option. I think you get another year under the head coach's belt and Sean Payton, and maybe he gets a little more grasp on what's going on there. But this roster's not great. I mean, defensively, outside of Pat Surtain, you're relying on like two young edges and like Baron Browning, who was hurt last year, who has had glimpses, and Nick Benito, a former third round pick, who hasn't done much yet, but like we'll see. Zach Allen on the interiors, like fine, but like this is not a great defense. The secondary, you lose Justin Simmons, who's been a staple of that defense for forever.
Went to Atlanta.
Yep. Went to Atlanta, signed with Atlanta just this past week. You lose, I mean, the dirtiest player in the league, Kareem Jackson. Corner wise, outside of Pat Surtain, I don't know that there's a lot of guys that you're like, yeah, looking forward to that. I think Josie Jewell was a really nice linebacker. You spoke on that. Who will be a miss? I think the defense is going to be a problem in the sense of like not good. I think the defense is going to struggle, especially if the offense starts putting up points and other teams are forced to force the issue on this defense. This defense is going to crumble a little bit, which feels weird, but they've lost everyone. That secondary outside of Pat Surtain, and listen, I love an elite corner. Don't get me wrong, but if you have one elite corner, there's a lot of other outlets that a quarterback can hit that doesn't involve throwing the ball to that side of the field or that player, right? Especially in today's game where you split 4 or 5 wide, you got your tight end, all of these looks. Pat Surtain can't guard them all, right? And the edge isn't great, and the offensive line's a little inconsistent for sure. And I don't think you have a true number one, and then you lose Jerry Jeudy on the back end. You get Tim Patrick, but like, what do we expect from a guy that hasn't played in 2 years at this point? I don't know. Marvin Mims is still. I don't think Sean Payton feels highly about Marvin Mims. I don't think he's an answer.
Marvin Mims is a weird one. Yeah.
He looked great in like special teams early on, but like there's a reason Sean Payton wasn't playing him at wide receiver and still not really playing him that much at wide receiver. Like, I don't know how to explain Marvin Mims, but Sean Payton and Marvin Mims don't see eye to eye. So you're relying on like guys at wide receiver that aren't great. Your tight end position, you drafted a dude from UCLA a couple years ago who's been hit or miss and also injured. What is it?
Little Jordan Humphrey?
No. Dual check or what is his name?
Dulcich, tight end.
Dulcich.
Dulcich.
But I think Bo Nix, keep in mind he's only slightly younger than Mahomes. He's like coming in the league like a Kenny Pickett.
Even older.
Yeah.
But
He's
better.
old. He's 24. We'll see. He's
Again,
24. Mahomes
Chris,
is only 28, and he's got 3 Super Bowl wins under his belt.
I don't-
again, Chris,
You know what?
You heard me last year. I was all over Kenny Pickett after he had an amazing preseason, dropping dimes, going all over the field, and he got traded for a third, and we had to give up a fourth to do it as well.
Evil, fraudulent Super Bowl wins. I actually don't give a fuck. I'll take fraudulent Super Bowl wins. I just want Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
And no, they aren't fraudulent. But even if they were, I'd still take them.
Yeah, but yeah, the problem with the Broncos, Broncos have 2 dudes on the team. You got Satan and you got Sutton.
Sutton's not even.
I wouldn't say Sutton's like.
Yeah.
Sutton's not a dude.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like there's like you're talking about you're on the upswing. You gutted your team entirely. You got rid of nearly everyone worth a damn.
And that's how bad it was with Russell Wilson and everything we just went through. That's how bad it was. That's the upswing, Rec. That's the upswing. Yeah. That's what we're working with. So I'll take that upswing all day, every day. Because if let's just say hypothetically, Bo Nix ends up being a really good quarterback, it's gonna make all of the other stuff that we dealt with, even paying $40 million to a quarterback to play for you guys and lose games, it's gonna help just make that feel like 10 years ago, as opposed to like last year or 2 years or whatever it may be. Like it like that's the difference. And there's like, when we talk about tanking, we talked about tanking earlier. It's like this is kind of what tanking is kind of about, is to try to figure out how to get a guy that can change your fortunes. You saw Houston change their fortune overnight, like with a good quarterback, right? And just a change of how they went up.
Pretty good roster.
Yeah, yes. Good, decent roster, and they built around it, right? But I mean, you got to nail the quarterback. And so, you have to, if you can find that guy, I don't care. Like, you have to figure it out. If you have to strip it down and rebuild it in other areas, that's going to be the next step. But we got to make sure that Bo Nix is the guy. And it seems like there's some excitement around what he can do so far. We'll see. So signing Russ was tanking. It's true. Absolutely.
Evil likes it, and I'm gonna address this because it makes me mad. Evil said the refs always side with Mahomes and the Chiefs. Look up the penalty count in the 4 Super Bowls Mahomes has played in. The Chiefs have been called for more penalties and more yardage than they've been granted. So kindly, and I say this with the sincerest of kindness, kindly fuck off.
Just real quick, Chris, the way you were talking about like Marvin Mims and Josh Reynolds, it was like how you were trying to talk about the Chargers receivers with Palmer and Chark. It was just like that.
But again, I think how much could I Russ, and I throw a lot on Russ. Russ had I mean, when you look at the stats, like he actually didn't have as terrible, but like it's just the eyeball test.
Touchdown based, and it was not repeatable. He couldn't repeat those touchdown stats because it was so outside of like when you look at normal numbers, it wasn't repeatable.
If you watch the games, if you watch the games, you're looking at that and how hard it was to move the ball downfield with him. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how much of our wide receivers, whether that was Judy, whether that was Sutton, Mims, like how much are we not able to game plan throwing the ball downfield if a quarterback can't figure out how to get the ball thrown downfield?
To be clear, your quarterback now can't get the ball downfield.
Bo Nix, he could throw the ball downfield. No. He threw a couple. He threw a couple of nice balls over the course of preseason that were 30, 40-yard throws. Like, I'll take that.
That were completed?
That's better than what we had.
No. Were they?
Yes.
He threw a 30, 40-yard completion?
He had one tonight. How long was the one tonight where it was to Sutton?
It was like 23. I think it was like 23, 27.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, that's still better than what we had. So, I mean, now it's just it's moving the chains, man. It's moving the chains.
His biggest weakness is there's not a lot of arm strength. But very accurate and very smart. And a very good dude.
Yeah.
Very good head on his shoulders and Bo Nix. So
yeah.
He might work out really, really well. It's uncommon to draft someone of that age in the first round and have it pan out, but he might be the exception.
Because if he ends in like I'm trying to like you obviously want to maximize because what guys come into the league, 2 or 3 years younger, right? And then it takes that development time. He had a ton of reps in college, but like how much? I mean, if he ends up panning out and you get those, let's say you miss out on 2 or 3 years of the NFL side, but he's still that good. It's worth it in the end, anyways. Whether he's 24 coming into the league or whether he's 22, like as long as he wins games, it doesn't really matter when he comes in the league. You just miss out on a couple years of maybe winning, but the early end of your career, you're not winning Super Bowls like that.
No.
So
yeah, Marty Mayhem said they never call holding calls against the Chiefs. I want to be clear when I say this. Their right tackle was called for more penalties than any other offensive lineman in the league by far. And yes, there's some false starts, but also holdings. More than any other player in the league. So to say they never get called, not true. I think they eat their whistle every time. But when teams win, you find like clips to be like, oh, look at that. They missed that. Which I'm ready to. I'll own that because I'd rather just win every year like we do now.
Bo Nick's press conference looks like the Russian guy from talking about Rocky.
He does
look like him, right?
That hair, the face and the hair are all
you nailed
very
it.
much that.
He looks like the Russian from Rocky.
Yes.
It's like if he dies, he dies. I can't unsee this now. I can't unsee it.
He looks a lot like that dude.
Wow.
Hated that
Drago.
guy for forever, so it's gonna be easy for me to hate this guy. I don't even want to hate Bo Nix. He was in Oregon. I want to like him.
Yeah.
I don't want to hate the Broncos. I might have to cover the Broncos at some point.
You might have to after week 1.
Very soon.
Avon Drago. Maybe that's his new nickname, Drago.
Drago should be his new nickname.
We should just call him Drago. Bo Drago.
By the way, the best Rocky movie.
It was by far the best Rocky movie. Yep.
Best Rocky movie.
Absolutely. If you guys say anything else on Rocky, just
don't
kindly leave.
Come back.
Well, now you're banned.
Yeah.
Scotty always tries to give people reasons to not come back.
we give more reason to not come back than we do to come back, actually. So, that's just what. Maybe that's why we're not growing.
If you want to learn and achieve greatness in life, come on back.
Guys.
Yeah, come on in. I'll tell you everything you need to know.
Guys, hit that follow
I will help you. You too could be retired like me at my age.
You just, part of it is finding the right partner. And, we had Medic, found a right partner. You just never know.
Sorry, I'm really good at life.
You could be Harrison Butker's worst nightmare.
You don't have a problem picking your coordinators like Pittsburgh does, right? Like your coordinator that you chose for life, I
slayed it. I mean, it's so good.
I mean,
crushed it out of the park.
Are all those people living in the tents under the bridge retired? I mean,
it's not going to be me. I'm in a gated community over here.
Yeah,
can't just get in.
And you have been living in tents periodically as well.
We try and balance the kids out a little bit. They're a little spoiled, so we try and take them tent camping. Didn't go great a couple of weeks ago because there was a lot of wind at 11:30 at night, and they lost their minds as our tent was collapsing. That was not fun.
Yeah. Guys, hit that follow button. Please hit that follow button if you are enjoying the content. Otherwise, if you're not, then you don't have to do anything. It's easy. Guys, make sure you are joining us on our socials, YouTube channel, all of our website. We have a bunch of great articles. I'm putting together an NBA one as we speak. So make sure you go check out actionlabsports.com, where, as Evil says, that's where all of the science experiments are located. Also, guys, we have a lot of Bleacher Report stuff coming your way, especially with the Broncos and the NFL, but also the NBA coming up in the next month. So in the works on some new content there. Make sure you tune in for those announcements. But otherwise, that's going to take us to the end of the show. We have covered every single division. If you missed your division or your team, go check out our YouTube channel because they're all uploaded there. These will be uploaded this week, so check that out as well. And we might be doing some daytime quick streams to talk some sports with you guys this week. I'll talk to Scotty about some timing, but if you don't hit that follow button, you're not going to get the noties. All right, got to get the notifications on when we go live. But we might even put them on Twitter. Join our Twitter. Follow us on that as well. Science. That's right. Evil. Science supposedly that's not real.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is
and
not
now
real.
Thoughts on Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons to the Falcons?
Oh yeah, Matthew. Yeah,
that did happen. Yep.
Would have been cool if they didn't. They're going all in and then took a quarterback in the first round after paying a lot of money to a quarterback. It's very confusing there, but I'm higher on Justin Simmons actually than I am on Judon. I think Judon's aging a little bit. Didn't have a overly productive year with the Patriots last year. I don't love giving up a third round pick for him, because like what's the peak for the Falcons this year? I don't know if they're like in Super Bowl contention. So why are you wasting away your future leverage with draft picks? Like a third round pick is important moving forward for Judon. I like the Simmons pick because it didn't cost a draft pick. You get a really good safety. Makes a lot of sense. They should win that division. Not a great division, but the Falcons should be overwhelming favorites at this point.
I think
to win that division.
Falcons seem like ceiling is one playoff win, maybe. That's the absolute ceiling. One playoff win, maybe, and then bounced.
Yeah. I don't
but
think they make an NFC championship game, but like
that's not a bad step up from what they have been, right? I mean, if you win that division, because that division, it's always like,
so bad.
It's so bad that like nobody's really. It's like a 500 team is like in contention. So if you run away with the division, that's a win. If you go and win a playoff game, your first playoff game, that's a win. But it's at that point, I feel like that's a good season for the Falcons.
It's just it eventually is it's underwhelming. You don't feel good about even if you achieve that. But it's really easy for you or I, Chris or Rec or someone else to say like, hey, let's rebuild and let's do all this and we'll wait for forever. But that's not a reality for a lot of GMs, right? Like they have to win and prove themselves right here, right now, which is at times a detriment to a team, but that's the reality. So while it's easy for us to be like, just sell out, rebuild, build from the draft, see what happens, get a good QB and build from there, that's not a reality for a lot of GMs. So GMs protect their job and themselves by making bad signings.
That's frankly fascinating point that I feel like nobody thinks about, because it does. Yeah. It accelerates things. Like, you see teams, especially in the NBA, where they're starting to learn that, you have, it takes 3, 4, 5 years to build out a core team. And it's starting to be like through the draft and being able to capitalize on your draft picks and be able to make the correct signings. And that takes time. And when you don't have the patience of an owner, then you do make rash decisions that are at a detriment of your team.
Protecting your job more than really feeling like this is the long-term best solution. You're protecting your position.
I mean, that's crazy to think that, like, that happens all the time. I mean, that I could say that probably happened with the Russ decision with Peyton. Like, he wanted to make a splash for himself, because if he doesn't make a splash, and somehow he's still here, I don't know how. Maybe the patience is
a GM that's paying $40 million to a quarterback that's not here is still in Denver. Good for him. Good for him.
It's crazy. So yeah, that's a great point though.
That's that Walmart money.
Yes, sir. Getting that cash, son. Let's go. Walmart money. Oh, love it.